Well, this is another devotional, but I've been trying to get the point across that devotionals are nothing more than you walking with God. And you don't set aside a specific time. It's like you don't make an appointment with God. God will, if He wants to get your attention, He will do it. Now, there's been a song that's been running through my mind for at least a week. I'm not the greatest guitar player, but I love strumming my guitar. And this song is a song that means a lot to me. And the reason it means a lot is it brings back a memory that was important. And it's important for us to always be thankful to God for bringing us through the times when we need Him the most, the trials and tribulations. Now, this song, I got it reinforced and last night because there was nothing on TV. My wife and I, we watch TV every night. We love watching mysteries and those kind of things. But it was around 10:30, and I just decided to flip through the channels, and I ran across a pastor who I've always held in high esteem. Now, he was preaching last night on faithfulness. And I started taking notes. His name is David Jeremiah. I would recommend David Jeremiah to you. He's got a website, davidjeremiah.org. And if you want to see his videos, it's davidjeremiah.org/TV. And I would recommend that. And the concept that I want to talk about is this idea. It's called serendipity. It was serendipitous in coming together, this idea of this song, Great is Thy Faithfulness, that I have been fixated on it. Then David Jeremiah, I just turned on the turned on the TV, and there's Jeremiah speaking, Dr. David Jeremiah, preaching on faithfulness. And the Bible encourages us to walk with God. And He is the one we should be walking with because He is the one with the power to help us through every difficulty that we might face in life. And He's also the one that is faithful. He will never, ever, ever forsake us. He'll never let us down. Now, the story I'm going to relate to that pertains to this story and the song, Great is Thy Faithfulness. This happened in, I wrote the dates down. Thanksgiving was the Thursday, November 23rd in 1989, where I decided to tell my closest friend, Randy Wagner, that I had big bruises that had shown up on my legs. And we were visiting them for Thanksgiving weekend, and I had kept this from my wife. I had noticed several months before I started getting these big bruises on my legs, and I didn't look it up. I just figured I had bumped into a table or something. Anyway, he knew the possibilities. And see, that's one of the main symptoms of cancer. So anyway, I promised my wife that Monday on the 27th of November, that I would go into the doctors. Now, I had just been made the sales manager of Dynafax at the time, a job I had aspired to. I really wanted that job, and we had had some tremendous, when I had been appointed to sales manage the sales force, we were going through an awful period of sales, were very down. And my 2 months leading up into November, the best 2 months in the history of the company. I like to think that it had something to do with my management skills. But anyway, when I went in to see Dr. B.A. Hubbard, he had an office on Baker Road. He had been my doctor for a while. He told me, he said, you need to go to the emergency room at Lee Memorial Hospital. We need to do some tests, when he looked at my symptoms. And I said, well, I've got to get back to the office, and I'll go there after I get everything straight for the week, because I'd been off. We'd been off for Thanksgiving. And Dr. Hubbard said, no. He said, you need to go there immediately. In fact, he said, I'm thinking about calling an ambulance to take you there. That's the first time that I thought, maybe this is serious. I only found out within the last year that the assistant principal came into my wife's classroom at Tallwood and had a sub and said to her that I was in critical condition at Centerley Hospital. And that's all that he knew, and that's what he told her. So I didn't realize how much panic that caused in her. She's kind of suppressed it. And she only, like I said, in the last 6 months or so, she told me that. But I check in, but I call Dr. Wilkes Hubbard, who is a good Christian brother at First Baptist of Norfolk. We had gotten to know each other through Bible study. And I didn't realize that this was going to be a time where God would draw me closer to him than I ever could have thought possible. But the reason that Great is Thy Faithfulness is such an important song to me is there were tests run. I wrote it down in my Bible, Tuesday, the 5th of December, which meant I was there for several days. They were running all these tests, and I was checked into the cancer ward. And I got an oncology doctor named Dr. L. Berko, and hooked me up to the machines. He started giving me platelets. And I didn't really understand the seriousness, but I started craving coffee, which is kind of unusual. I was starting to drink a pot of coffee a day. Now, I love coffee, but the weird thing was I was drinking so much coffee, the nurses started to complain. But the first day I was there, I'm sitting next to the bed, and there's a knock on my door, and this man walks in, and he says, do you mind having me come in? Could you use a visitor? I said, sure. And I had my Bible sitting in my lap, and he looks at me, he says, what are you doing? Are you reading your book? I said, yeah, this is my Bible. He said, so you're a Christian. And this was he was all dressed in, he was dressed black tie, nicely dressed, elderly man, quite old. And he said, so you're a Christian? And I said, yeah, I'm reading my Bible. And he said, you look like you're worried. I said, well, I mean, consider where I am. This is the cancer ward. And he looks at me and he says, oh, cancer, don't worry about cancer. I said, you're a Christian. You need faith. I mean, Christians have faith that God's in control. or something along that lines. I'm kind of paraphrasing. But anyway, he said, I just wanted to encourage you that you should not be afraid because God is in control. And I was amazed. And I sat there and he said, I have other people to go see, so I'm going to leave you now. And he did. And I thought, I'd really like to talk to this guy. So I got up and I walked into the hall and went to the nurse's station. I said, did you see the man that was just in my room? And she said, sir, what do you mean? And I said, there was just an elderly man. I was just in my room. And she said, there's been nobody on the hall. I walked up and down the halls looking for this man. She said, there's been nobody. So you tell me, who was that? I needed a word from God, and I got that word. Now, that Sunday morning, and I love being in the choir, the anthem was, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And I'm going to play it. There's a new movie out called A Complete Unknown, the story of Bob Dylan. And I love it because Bob Dylan says that when you play for yourself. And I had not really thought about it, but I really do enjoy playing for myself. I know somebody likes to hear what I have to play, that's fine, but all in all, I'm not that great a guitar player. But in that movie, Bob Dylan, they're getting ready to record Like a Rolling Stone, and he tells the guitar player, play to please yourself. So, this song was the anthem, and it goes, Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above. Join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today, and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And I make mistakes when I'm playing still. But again, I'm playing for myself. Serendipity. It's a good concept, and keep in mind, God puts things together. This song has led me into the study. I'm going to watch Dr. David Jeremiah. He gave a tremendous sermon last night. But the funny thing is, it's easy to not, I said, I'm going to do a devotional this morning on this topic. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll do it later in the day because I'm kind of tired. I turn on the TV and it's on the movie channel, and the movie Serendipity is on there. And I thought, okay, Lord, you're telling me don't put it off. Do it now. And that's what we have got to stop doing as Christians. We have got to stop putting off telling our story to others, especially those who are close to us, the family and friends that we have. Whether or not they will listen is not relevant. Whether or not anybody watches this devotional or not is not important. If one person, and I'm hoping that these devotionals are interesting to my children, my grandchildren, if not now, maybe another time, because we do need God's faithfulness in our life. I'm going to end with prayer. Father, thank you so much that you call us to be your witnesses, that you walk us through these trials and tribulations in our life to teach us what we need to learn, that you are a faithful God, that the things that are going on in our life and in our family and in our city and our nation, they have bleak possible consequences, but you are in control, and we've got to have faith in you that you will bring them to the glory that is in Jesus. People need the Lord. They need the Lord more than ever today. And that's possibly why we are going through the difficult times that we are. But Father, I ask that you have someone come to know you today in a personal way that didn't know you before today. And if I can be that person to tell them the story, but someone needs to step out on faith. And Father, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do this devotional. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.